2:01 a.m. Caracas time. More than 150 U.S. military aircraft converge on Venezuela's capital from 20 bases across the Western Hemisphere. Helicopters flying 100 feet above water penetrate Venezuelan airspace. Inside Fuerte Tiuna, Venezuela's largest and most heavily fortified military complex, President Nicolás Maduro and his wife sprint toward the steel door of their safe room. They don't make it. Within 30 minutes, the leader of a sovereign nation is blindfolded, in U.S. custody, and on his way to a warship. By 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time that same Saturday, Maduro lands in New York to face federal narco-terrorism charges. I spent 48 hours analyzing military timelines, reviewing official statements from the Joint Chiefs of Staff, examining eyewitness accounts, and cross-referencing international media reports to document exactly what happened during Operation Absolute Resolve. Not speculation, not propaganda. Just verified facts about the most brazen U.S. military action against a head of state since the raid that killed Osama bin Laden in 2011. By the end of this video, you'll understand the months of planning that preceded the 2 a.m. raid, including the replica fortress U.S. forces built to rehearse the extraction. You'll see the documented 30-minute timeline from first explosion to Maduro in custody. And you'll know why more than 80 people died that night, including 32 Cuban military personnel, according to official government statements. But first, let me show you something that reveals just how unprecedented this operation was. According to General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, speaking at Trump's Mar-a-Lago press conference on January 3rd, the mission was meticulously planned and represented the culmination of months of planning and rehearsals. Trump himself told Fox News that U.S. forces actually built a house, which was identical to the one they went into, with all the same, all that steel all over the place. They built a full-scale replica of Maduro's fortified compound to train for this exact scenario. Let's start with documented facts about the preparation phase. Operation Absolute Resolve didn't begin on January 3, 2026. It began months earlier with intelligence gathering, according to multiple military and media sources. The CIA had been tracking Maduro's movements, habits, and security protocols for months. According to the Jerusalem Post and other sources cited in planning documents, U.S. intelligence infiltrated Maduro's inner circle, mapping his daily routines, residence layouts, and security force positions. The physical preparation was extraordinary. According to Trump's own statement to Fox News, U.S. Special Forces constructed a full-scale replica of Maduro's compound, complete with steel reinforcements, floor plans, and security features matching the actual residence. Elite units, likely including Delta Force according to multiple reports, rehearsed the extraction repeatedly on this replica. General Kane described the training philosophy at Saturday's press conference. "We think we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world." That preparation paid off when weather conditions aligned. According to Kane's statement, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could move through. On Friday night, January 2, 2026, at 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:46 p.m. Venezuela time, President Donald Trump gave the final authorization. According to General Kane's official timeline provided at the press conference, Trump's message of good luck and Godspeed was communicated to the entire force. From that moment, over 150 aircraft began launching from 20 military bases across the Western Hemisphere, according to CBS News and ABC News reporting. The aircraft included fighter jets, bombers, surveillance planes, intelligence aircraft, and extraction helicopters. Al Jazeera reported that helicopters carrying the extraction force began flying toward Venezuela at 100 feet above the water, a tactical altitude designed to avoid radar detection while allowing rapid response to threats. What happened next unfolded with military precision documented by multiple sources. Around 2 a.m. local Caracas time, 6 a.m. GMT on Saturday, January 3rd, residents across the capital reported hearing deafening explosions according to AFP journalists on the ground and witnesses quoted in multiple media outlets. These weren't random strikes. According to Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez's statement reported by Wikipedia and other sources, U.S. forces launched airstrikes on key military installations, including anti-aircraft positions and command centers. Fire erupted at Fuerte Tiuna, Venezuela's largest military complex and the location of Maduro's fortified residence. Photos verified by multiple news agencies show charred vehicles and heavily damaged structures at the base. La Carlota military airbase in Caracas also came under attack. Reuters and other agencies published photographs showing destroyed anti-aircraft units at the facility. These preparatory strikes had a clear tactical purpose: neutralize Venezuelan air defenses and create the conditions for helicopters to land safely at Maduro's compound. At precisely 2:01 a.m. local time, 1:01 a.m. Eastern Time, according to General Kane's verified timeline, U.S. helicopters touched down at Maduro's compound inside Fuerte Tiuna. This is where the operation became most dangerous. According to Kane's press conference statement, upon landing, U.S. forces came under fire and responded in self-defense with overwhelming force. One helicopter was hit but remained flyable, he confirmed. President Trump provided additional details about what happened inside the compound during interviews and press conferences. According to his account, Maduro and his wife Celia Flores attempted to reach a reinforced safe room with a steel door. They didn't make it in time. Both tried to reach the steel door of a safe room, Trump told reporters, as documented by The Washington Post and multiple outlets. The implication is clear. U.S. forces breached the compound faster than Maduro could secure himself. The extraction force included not just military special operations, but also law enforcement personnel, specifically Justice Department officials, according to General Kane's statement. This unusual combination, military assault backed by federal law enforcement, reflected the operation's dual nature as both a military strike and a law enforcement apprehension. Maduro and Flores were taken into custody with no loss of life among U.S. personnel, Kane stated explicitly. He did not provide details on any injured Americans, though he confirmed the helicopter hit remained operational. When the helicopters departed the compound, they were protected by fighter aircraft and drones providing suppressive fire, according to ABC News reporting. The entire extraction, from helicopter touchdown to departure with Maduro, lasted less than 30 minutes, according to U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's description of the raid, as reported by multiple sources. At 4:29 a.m. local time, 8:29 GMT, just 2.5 hours after the raid began, Maduro was aboard the USS Iwo Jima, a Wasp-class amphibious assault ship serving as the command vessel for the operation, according to Al Jazeera and other sources. Trump later posted a photograph on Truth Social showing Maduro blindfolded and wearing a gray tracksuit, confirming his capture. From the USS Iwo Jima, Maduro was transferred to a Department of Justice aircraft. According to CBS News, CNN, and Fox News tracking of the flight, the plane carrying Maduro landed at Stewart Air National Guard Base in New York at approximately 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 p.m. GMT, on Saturday, January 3rd. Video shared by the White House Rapid Response account on X showed what appeared to be Maduro being escorted through a hallway with carpet reading DEA NYD, Drug Enforcement Administration, New York Division, flanked by 3 agents in DEA jackets. The video was captioned simply, "Perp walked." But the operation came at a devastating human cost, particularly for Venezuela and Cuba. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, in a call to state television Saturday morning reported by CNN and others, said that innocent people had died but provided no specific numbers initially. Defense Minister Pedrino Lopez stated that U.S. combat helicopters fired rockets and missiles in urban areas, and that officials were gathering information on casualties. Venezuela's Attorney General Tarek William Saab reported that innocent victims have been mortally wounded and others killed by this criminal terrorist attack, according to Wikipedia documentation. Specific incidents documented include strikes on civilian areas. In Cadia Lamar, airstrikes hit a 3-story apartment complex, killing one person, seriously injuring another, and destroying the exterior wall, according to multiple media reports. The most detailed casualty figures come from Cuba. On Sunday, January 4th, the Cuban government released an official statement documented by CBS News, Wikipedia, and other outlets reporting that 32 Cubans were killed during the operation. The Cuban government statement reads, "As a result of the criminal attack perpetrated by the United States government against the sister Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, carried out in the early morning of January 3rd, 2026, 32 Cubans were killed in combative actions who were serving missions on behalf of the Revolutionary Armed Forces and the Ministry of the Interior at the request of counterpart bodies of the South American country." The statement continued, "Our compatriots fulfilled their duty dignifiedly and heroically, and fell, after fierce resistance, in direct combat against the attackers or as a result of the bombing of the facilities." President Trump acknowledged these deaths aboard Air Force One on Sunday night, telling reporters, "A lot of Cubans were killed yesterday," according to CBS News reporting. Combining Cuban and Venezuelan reports, more than 80 people died during Operation Absolute Resolve, according to Wikipedia's compilation of official government statements from both countries. The legal and political fallout began immediately and continues today, January 5th, 2026, the day Maduro is scheduled to appear in Manhattan federal court. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced Saturday that Maduro and Flores had been indicted in the U.S. Southern District of New York, superseding a 2020 indictment, according to her statement and court documents reported by Fox News, Wikipedia, and other sources. The charges include narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. Maduro's arraignment is scheduled for today, Monday, January 5th, 2026, in Manhattan Federal Court, according to multiple confirmed sources. But the operation's legality is being questioned by legal scholars, international organizations, and even some U.S. lawmakers. Democratic Senator Mark Warner, vice chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, expressed concerns to CBS News. Does this mean any large country can indict the ruler of a smaller adjacent country and take that person out? The operation was conducted without congressional approval. According to PBS News reporting, lawmakers from both political parties have raised reservations about military operations in Venezuela, and Congress has not specifically authorized use of military force in the region. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres issued a statement saying U.S. actions had worrying implications for the region, constitute a dangerous precedent, and expressed concern that the rules of international law have not been respected, according to Al Jazeera and other sources. The UN Security Council, acting on an emergency request from Colombia, Russia, and China, scheduled a meeting for today, Monday, January 5th, to discuss the situation according to Council diplomats. International reaction ranged from condemnation to celebration, reflecting deep divisions over Venezuela's government. Russia's foreign ministry quickly condemned the operation, calling the U.S. justifications unfounded, according to statements documented by Northeastern University reporting. Many Latin American leaders criticized the action as a violation of Venezuelan sovereignty. Brazil's government, according to Agência Brasil and other sources, expressed concern about the precedent of one nation militarily seizing another nation's elected leader. Conversely, José Antonio Cast, Chile's president-elect, called Maduro's capture great news, stating that Maduro was not the legitimate president and had destabilized Latin America, according to Wikipedia. In Miami's Doral neighborhood, home to the largest Venezuelan diaspora community in the United States, thousands celebrated in the streets, according to PBS News and Reuters photos showing people wrapped in Venezuelan flags cheering and dancing. But in Venezuela itself, the reaction was mixed fear and uncertainty. Caracas remained unusually quiet on Sunday, January 4th, according to CBS News correspondents on the ground. Most businesses stayed closed. Long lines formed outside supermarkets and gas stations as residents stockpiled goods, fearing turmoil. PBS News quoted Caracas resident Norris Prada, "How do I feel? Scared, like everyone. Venezuelans woke up scared. Many families couldn't sleep. The constitutional situation remains complex." Venezuela's Supreme Court ordered Vice President Delcy Rodriguez to assume the powers and duties of acting president following Maduro's removal, according to CNN and Wikipedia. However, Rodriguez herself made a remarkable statement during a Saturday appearance on state television. She pronounced Maduro still the legitimate president and called for his immediate release. "There is only one president in Venezuela, and his name is Nicolás Maduro Moros," she declared according to PBS News reporting. This creates a legal paradox. The acting president, as designated by Venezuela's highest court, refuses to actually assume the presidency and maintains the kidnapped leader remains legitimate. Trump's statements about Venezuela's future added another layer of controversy. At his Mar-a-Lago press conference, Trump stated the United States would run the country of Venezuela until such time that we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition, according to transcripts from multiple news organizations. But Secretary of State Marco Rubio walked back Trump's claim the next day. On Sunday, January 4th, Rubio said, according to CBS News and the New York Times, that the U.S. would not govern Venezuela, but would continue enforcing the existing oil quarantine to pressure for policy changes. The Trump administration's justification for the operation centers on narco-terrorism and presidential authority. Speaking to reporters, Trump described the mission as one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. According to Al Jazeera reporting, the administration claims Trump has inherent constitutional authority to conduct such operations without congressional approval, framing it as a law enforcement action with military support rather than an act of war. Legal experts remain skeptical. Ryan Goodman, professor at Northeastern University, quoted by their news service, noted, "The The Trump administration will likely also assert the seizure was legal as part of the U.S. right to self-defense based on Venezuela's contribution to drugs entering the U.S. How serious such an emergency is depends upon facts on the ground. But consider how many countries are sources of unlawful drugs and whether such a rationale can be reasonably confined to Venezuela. The precedent is what worries international law scholars. If a large military power can invade a smaller neighbor, seize its leader, and justify it through domestic criminal indictments and drug war rationale, what prevents this from becoming a template for future actions? Beyond legal questions, the operation raises strategic concerns about what comes next for Venezuela. Pablo Calderón Martinez, associate professor of politics and international relations at Northeastern University in London, told their news service the capture is an extremely concerning development and unlikely to guarantee regime change. "We have seen how this movie ends," he said, adding that the Maduro regime is sufficiently institutionalized, in my opinion, to survive a leadership change. Venezuela's government machinery remained in place as of today, January 5th. The military establishment, ruling party structures, and state institutions continue functioning under acting President Rodriguez's nominal authority. Armed civilians and militia members were seen on Caracas streets Saturday, according to PBS News, particularly in neighborhoods long considered ruling party strongholds. This suggests regime loyalists remain organized and capable of resistance. Meanwhile, the Venezuelan opposition faces its own complexities. Maria Corina Machado, the opposition leader, called for the immediate installation of Edmundo González Urrutia as president and for the military to support him. Most Western governments regard González as the legitimate winner of the contested 2024 presidential election, but Trump dismissed this at his press conference. When asked if Machado would have a role in post-Maduro Venezuela, Trump said he had not been in contact with her, and that while Machado was a very nice woman, she doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country to lead Venezuela, according to CNN reporting. This suggests the Trump administration envisions its own preferred transition, not necessarily aligned with the existing Venezuelan opposition leadership. The oil dimension cannot be ignored. Venezuela possesses the world's largest proven oil reserves. Trump explicitly mentioned during his press conference that greater U.S. control of Venezuelan oil was among the potential benefits of the operation, according to PBS News reporting. Whether that means resuming Venezuelan oil exports to U.S. markets, directing Venezuelan oil revenue toward U.S. interests, or something else entirely remains unclear. But Trump's comments confirm oil is part of the calculation. You now have the complete documented timeline and verified facts as of today, January 5th, 2026. On Friday night, January 2nd at 10:46 p.m. ET, Trump authorized Operation Absolute Resolve. Over 150 aircraft launched from 20 bases across the Western Hemisphere. At 2 a.m. Caracas time on Saturday, January 3rd, airstrikes hit Venezuelan military installations. At 2:01 a.m., helicopters landed at Fuerte Tiuna. Maduro and his wife tried to reach their safe room but didn't make it. Within 30 minutes, they were in U.S. custody. By 4:29 a.m., they were aboard the USS Iwo Jima. By 4:30 p.m. Eastern, they landed in New York. More than 80 people died, including 32 Cuban military personnel. Today, Maduro appears in Manhattan federal court to face narco-terrorism charges. Venezuela's Supreme Court ordered Delcy Rodriguez as acting president, but she refuses to assume power. Maintaining Maduro remains legitimate. The UN Security Council meets today to discuss the operation's legality. International law experts question whether the U.S. had legal authority to invade a sovereign nation and seize its leader. Trump claims inherent presidential power. Legal scholars warn of dangerous precedents. The operation succeeded militarily. No U.S. deaths, objective accomplished, target extracted. But what comes next remains deeply uncertain. Will Venezuela's regime collapse or adapt? Will the opposition unite or fracture? Will the U.S. attempt to govern Venezuela as Trump suggested, or will Rubio's walkback prove accurate? These questions have no answers yet. What we have are documented facts. On January 3rd, 2026, the United States military invaded Venezuela, captured its president at 2 a.m. in a meticulously planned 30-minute raid, and flew him to New York to face criminal charges. The most brazen U.S. military action against a head of state in 15 years, and potentially one of the most legally controversial in modern American history.